it has correctly. We have Brother Bill Ireland with us, who is now going to come and show us how to properly approach a golf ball. Brother Ireland, your tool is ready. Yeah, come on up here and show us how to properly approach a golf ball. Yes, sir. Show us the stance.
Golf is an interesting game, and the first thing in golf is to get your grip right. The tendency is for a new person playing golf to grip the club real tight. That's the worst thing you can do. The club is held so lightly in your hand that your right hand almost come off when you swing. Because if you have the club too tight, you got tension in your arms, and you don't want tension. So the first thing you do is put the club on the ground like that. Put the club in your hand like that. Your left hand, your right hand. Close it so you have this V pointing over your right shoulder. And then you put the other hand over it with a ball and grip. Now you see my little finger and my first finger interlock? If you're a woman, that's probably the way you want to do it. But if you're a man and you have bigger hands, you might want to overlap like that. So now that you got the grip in the proper position, the next thing you want to do is look at it, because there's three positions you can put it in. If you turn your right hand over like this, that's called a weak grip. So if you swing it that way, the ball is going to tend to go that way. If you put it in a neutral position like this, you're going to more or less hit the ball straight. If you want to curve right to left, you're going to go with a strong grip and put your hand over here like this. So that's the basics. The other thing about golf is it fools people. If you want the golf ball to go up, you have to hit down on it. If you want it to go down, you hit up on it. And so a new golfer always try to pick the golf ball, pick the ball up, but you really don't want to pick it up and go down on it like that. The one exception is with that long club called the driver. You want to hit up on it because you're going to put the ball out in front of you like that. So when you come down on it, you're going to catch that on the trajectory. Everything else is you're going to hit down on it. And what happens when you hit a golf ball, your club hits the ground in front of the ball. Y'all didn't know that, did you? Everybody thinks you hit behind it, but if you do that, it's going down. So you want to hit down on it where the ball is right here, and when the club hits the ground, it's going to hit the ground right
there. Thank you.
All right.
Now, after worship, we're all going to go out to the course, right? Seriously, thank you, Brother Iron, by the way. Like golf, life has to be approached correctly. And we have, I believe, a championship golfer. Sister Iris, are you not a championship golfer? Tell us briefly about your championship. Oh, you
4 holes in 1.
4 holes in 1. Wow, that's quite an accomplishment. But golf is a game of approach. Life must be approached correctly, just like golf. There is an old Western proverb. I could not find the source. Never approach a bull from the front, nor a horse from the rear, or a fool from any direction. Life, like golf, has to have the correct approach. You have to discard the negative. You have to embrace the positive. And you have to move on. You have to move on. Now, Brother Ireland told us about the technical approach to the ball. But there's another aspect to the game of golf and to life that we have to really, really focus on. And that is our mental approach, our spiritual approach, our conscious approach, our unconscious approach. There's two choices in golf. One is I'm standing at the tee, getting ready to hit the ball towards the next hole. Now, on one hand, I could be thinking about the last hole, the one where I topped the ball and lost a stroke, and then wound up putting the ball in the water 3 times in a row, and overshot the green and wound up in the bunker, and wound up with a 13 score. I could be thinking backwards about that. Instead, though, I need to be approaching the ball with a positive outlook. I am going to hit that ball. I'm going to approach it correctly. I am going to hit it, and I'm going to hear that ping, that sound when the club hits the ball correctly, and it pops, it snaps, and you've connected. And automatically your head goes up and you watch that ball as it arcs up and it comes right down on top of the green with just the right amount of backspin, and you hit 2 feet away from the cup and you eagle that hole. That's the approach I want to have when I'm golfing. That's the approach I want to have in life. I want to look forward to successes in the future and not the failures in the past. And when I'm done with my game of golf, just like the game of life, I don't want to remember 17 holes of top balls and water and bunkers. I want to think about that one hole when everything went right, because I had the right approach, and I had the right connection, and I had the right result. And I look to that as my example of golf and of life. This morning we want to look at a passage in the book of John, and we want to look at verses 19 through, I believe it's 28, if you'll follow along in your Bibles. And this is the testimony of John. When the Jews sent priests and Levites from Jerusalem to ask him, "Who are you?" he confessed and did not deny, but confessed, "I am not the Christ." And they asked him, "What then? Are you Elijah?" He said, "I am not." "Are you the prophet?" He answered, "No." So they said to him, "Who are you?" "We need to give an answer to those who sent us. What do you say about yourself?" He said, "I am the voice of one crying out in the wilderness, 'Make straight the way of the Lord,' as the prophet Isaiah said." Now they had been sent from the Pharisees. They asked him, "Then why are you baptizing if you are neither the Christ, nor Elijah, nor the prophet?" John answered them, "I baptize you with water, but among you stands one you do not know, even he who comes after me, the strap of whose sandal I am not worthy to untie." These things took place in Bethany across the Jordan, where John was baptizing. This is the second lesson in our series the questions of 1,000 dreams, what we are and what we seem. And today's question from the book of John we are going to contemplate is this: what do you say about yourself? What is your approach to life? Especially that we're all at a crossroads. We are all at a crossroads today. And why would we say such a thing? Because all of us here have 100% of the rest of our life ahead of us. What is going to be our approach for the 100% of our life that remains in front of us? We don't know how long that is, but it is for sure that however long we live, 100% of that time is ahead of us. We have a new start. We have a reset every day. And what are we going to think about it? What is going to be our approach? Are we going to remember the topped ball in the water? Or are we going to remember dropping the ball 2 feet from the cup? What's it going to be? What's going to be our approach? Well, 3 things that we see in this passage about John. Number 1, he denied all the things that he wasn't. No, I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm not the other thing. That's not what I'm about. He knew what his approach was. He knew what he needed to set aside, and he knew what he needed to connect with. And so he denied who he wasn't, and then he asserted who he was. He asserted, now I'm not these things, but I am these things. And then what did he do? He moved on. That's the approach to golf, and that's the approach to life. Set aside all the things that hinder you. Embrace all the things that cause you to connect and move on. Because we have 100% of the rest of our lives ahead of us. How are we going to define that? Are we going to look back and say, oh, I failed here and I failed there and my life's almost over. Oh, no. Our approach is that everything in the past is not a failure. It's preparation for the 100% of your life that remains. And just like the illustration, we know what the wrong approach is to a bull and a horse. And we know what the right approach is to a bull and a horse. And we know what the right and wrong approach to others is if we clearly understand our past. Our past is not a litany of failures as Satan would have us believe. It is a lifetime of teaching and experience to prepare us for today. Today and the rest of our lives, 100% of our lives still remain. Don't look back. Look ahead. Jesus says, don't take up the plow and look behind. When you take up the plow, look ahead. And life's hard. We've had terrible experiences. But what are we going to do with them? Are we going to moan and groan about failures, or are we going to say, well, I learned this here, I learned that there, and now I can move forward better than I could? You see, we're now stepping up to the tee box, to the rest of our life. What's going to be our approach Is it going to be the correct approach, or is it going to be the wrong approach? The Bible is full of great illustrations. I really, really, really like the book of 1 Samuel. Turn over with me to 1 Samuel chapter 14. We're going to see an example of the right approach to the rest of our life. The right approach to the rest of our life, which is beginning right now. The rest of your life begins right now. Everything in the past is preparation for right now. This was the mindset of Jonathan and his armor bearer. I wish we knew the name of the armor bearer, but we don't. He's one of the greatest men in the Bible. He doesn't even have a name. John chapter 14, or 1 Samuel chapter 14, beginning with verse 1. One day Jonathan, the son of Saul, said to the young man who carried his armor, "Come, let us go over to the Philistine garrison on the other side." But he did not tell his father. Saul was staying on the outskirts of Gibeah in the pomegranate cave at Migron. The people who were with him were about 600 men, including Ahijah, the son of Ahitub, Ichabod's brother, son of Phinehas, son of Eli, the priest of the Lord in Shiloh, wearing an ephod. And the people did not know that Jonathan had gone. Within the passes which Jonathan sought to go over to the Philistine garrison, there was a rocky crag on the one side and a rocky crag on the other side. The name of one was Bozez and the other Seneh. The one crag rose on the north in front of Michmash, and the other on the south in front of Gibeah. Jonathan said to the young man who carried his armor, "Come, let us go over to the garrison of those uncircumcised. It may be that the Lord will work for us, for nothing can hinder the Lord from saving by many or by few." And his armor bearer said to him, "Do all that is in your heart. Do as you wish. Behold, I am with you, heart and soul." And Jonathan said, "Behold, we will cross over to the men, and we will show ourselves to them. If they say to us, 'Wait until we come to you,' then we will stand still in our place, and we will not go up to them. But if they say, 'Come up to us,' then we will go up, for the Lord has given them into our hand, and this shall be the sign to us." So both of them showed themselves to the garrison of the Philistines, and the Philistines said, "Look, Hebrews are coming out of their holes where they've been hiding themselves." And the men of the garrison hailed Jonathan and his armor bearer and said, "Come up to us, and we will show you a thing." And Jonathan said to his armor bearer, "Come up after me, for the Lord has given them into the hand of Israel." Then Jonathan climbed up on his hands and feet, and his armor bearer after him, and they fell before Jonathan, and his armor bearer killed them after him. And that first strike which Jonathan and his armor bearer made killed about 20 men within, as it were, half a furrow's length in an acre of land. And there was panic in the camp, in the field, and among all the people. The garrison and even the raiders trembled, and the earth quaked, and it became a very great panic. What do we have here? We have two men who have the right approach to the 100% of the life that they have remaining. What was their approach? They said, number one, we're not going to stay in the valley hiding in a hole. We're going to go up because the Lord has given them to us. And the Lord indeed had done just that. They had the right approach. They had the right connection. And they had the right result because they understood that the best lies ahead. Success is waiting at the top of the ridge. God's glory is at the top of the mountain, and one must climb it to achieve it. Just like golf, just like life. They had the right approach. They discarded, like John, all that they did not need. They discarded all that they were not. They weren't cowards. They made the right connection. They listened for the Lord's direction. They climbed up that cliff, and they met the enemy, and they were theirs. 20 men fell at the hands of 2. That's impossible, and yet it happened. And it caused an entire panic among the entire army of the Philistines, and afterwards, the entire army followed Jonathan and his armor bearer and caused a great defeat to the Philistines because two people understood the right approach to the rest of their lives. See, God is on the heights. He's not in the depths. He's on the mountaintop. He's not in the valley. All he's asking us to do is do a little climbing. When we get to the top, there's going to be a great victory. So we asked ourselves as we prepare our approach to 100% of the rest of our life, where is God? Where is God that I might find him? Well, like in this historical record, God is between a rock and a hard place. They were trapped between 2 rocks, a rock and a hard place. But God provided a way out. They went up the cliff. They climbed the mountain and found success. Just like a well-hit ball, they connected with success and joy and excitement because God had delivered them in the face of insurmountable opposition. And so must we. This week, think about your approach to life. Is it like John the Baptist, who denied all that he shouldn't be? That he embraced all that he should be, and he moved on regardless? Is that going to be our approach? Is our approach going to be like Jonathan and the armor bearer, who see adversity and impossibility, and instead of looking back, they look forward? We're in a rock, between a rock and a hard place, but our God is going to deliver us. And we're going to climb up that mountain, and we're going to experience great success. want us all to think about our approach to the 100% of the rest of our lives. Our lives are not over. 100% of our lives remain in front of us. What's going to be our approach? Are we going to be like some of those Israelites and hide in caves? Or are we going to get out and climb the hill of difficulty to reach the plateau of victory? What's it going to be? As the church of Christ in this place, we cannot stay in the valley, hiding in caves, waiting for our lives to be over. We must look with great faith and great excitement to what lies ahead, because we're going to climb that mountain. We're going to get on top of that plateau, and God is going to give us the victory. We have experienced a lot of difficulty, collectively and individually. But it's preparation. It's not failure. Take the right approach for 100% of the rest of your life, because it starts right now. If you want to have the right approach to life, it has to be in Christ. You can't even get on the golf course of life without Jesus. To be in Jesus is to be baptized into him, to receive forgiveness of sin, and to receive the gift of the Holy Spirit, and to have your name added to the church itself. If you want to embrace the right approach, won't you come while we stand and sing to encourage you?